Hey, this is Pamela Schneider. I'm the retail editor for Blue Book Services, and this is the Produce Reporter Week in Review. Greg, we're both back in the office for a couple of weeks, and
Seems like it's been a while.
yeah, been a while. Been a couple of weeks since we've both been just kind of having a let's get caught up on all the things. But I want to hear, when we talked last week when I was down in my kitchen and you were in Monterey, what your takeaways were from the new International Fresh Produce Association and just kind of the soft launch of one of their big conferences. They had record attendance.
They had record attendance and it felt like it. They really boasted about huge buyer attendance. They did a lot of like buyer seller meetups that you sign up for ahead of time. And of course, someone like us aren't going to be invited to that. So I saw it kind of from the outside. But I know that there were a lot of those meetings going on. And so that was good. And every exhibitor I talked to in the last 2 hours of the show, because the first two, you couldn't even walk through the aisles, they were really happy. They saw a ton of buyers. I mean, they didn't see everyone they wanted because it was so, I mean, there were so many. So I would have to say IFPA would consider that a success. It really wasn't significantly different than the PMA version of it. Maybe the inclusion of more of the school food service people, because that was something that United Fresh really was bringing to the table. And so I think they probably combined some of that. That would be my guess. Um, so, I mean, I would have to consider that most people who invested in it was worth their time.
Well, I really like the school food service thing. I saw a lot of photos on LinkedIn from that. That, of course, was one of the things, the forum that they had at the former United Fresh. I think it was probably really great for some of those folks to get out and do some field tours because that's part of what they did there. And there is no, I can't think of very many places in the United States that is better to have that kind of hands-on availability of field tours and things like that to go along with the conference. So that was a fantastic opportunity, especially for the school food service people. And I hear you. I mean, back at the Organic Produce Summit just a couple of weeks ago, the first 2 hours of the show was literally swimming upstream. It was a lot of people. And what IFPA did this time around, I read a note that Joe Watson from IFPA wrote on LinkedIn this morning about what they did is did the complimentary buyer registration and things like that, the hosted buyer programs. And that really boosted attendance because I feel like the folks who are hosting these shows are really listening to their exhibitor audience saying, in 2020, 2021, when we started recovering from some of these shows, it was really, are the buyers going to be there? And doing everything you can to roll out that red carpet and get them there, I feel like was really key for some of the attendance on these things.
Yeah, and we know a lot of the value in that stuff is offsite meetings, and I'm sure that was going on. And Monterey is a wonderful place to do that sort of thing. They kept the evenings. I mean, they had receptions, but they were over early so that people could do dinners outside. Also, it was not a long conference. It seems like it used to be easily 3 days, and it was really just field tours, buyer meetings, reception, next day, education expo. Like that's it. It was quick. I mean, if you wanted to make it quick, you could make it quick.
Right, right. And I think a lot of people really appreciate that kind of thing, and they also appreciate Monterey, California. I know that the conference center was probably extremely crowded, but people love it so much there that it's such a great place to host something.
I did
It'll
see
be
the fire marshals, so it must have been okay.
um, another thing that we had this week, I think, is something that's a kind of a follow-up from the organic produce show. The Organic Produce Network and Category Partners released some of their numbers. They do quarterly reports, and organic volume is down overall, and dollars are up, and that's inflation, right? That's something that's not very surprising to those of us who have been watching the produce industry. But the number of categories that were down and how much they were down volume wise, I think is kind of a bellwether for what we're going to be seeing. I think consumers are tightening their belts, and I think when we get through the end of summer fruit, we're going to see what the damage has been, basically, because I don't know about you, but I really haven't seen much cheap fruit this summer. Not a lot of promotions on fruit, and I'm wondering how that's going to be affecting volume.
Yeah, we're used to seeing, I don't know, lost leaders, but it's hard to look at every single category. But if you just take, for instance, strawberries, strawberries are having a very good summer. It's very high quality. It's one of the few places you can go in the produce department where you see reasonable prices. I mean, I've seen a lot of 199, 299 per pound. But if you compare it to last year or even 3 years ago, I mean, FOBs were $4 to $8 this time of year in 2019, and now they're like 16 to 18.
Right.
So I mean, that's why in 2019 you could find not dollar or 99 cent a pound strawberries anywhere, and now no one can make money on that. So
Not even Aldi's
199
making money
seems
on
like
that.
a heck of a bargain.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even if when I go to Costco during peak season and strawberry season in Costco, you could get them for, $2.99 for a 2 pound clamshell of Driscoll strawberries. I haven't seen that this year. It's been more like $5.99. I'm not seeing in poor commodities that are generally what people look to for saving some money. Potatoes, for example, are the largest example of that. And potatoes are having a bit of a supply apocalypse. I've gotten source requests for people who want to talk to me about the potato shortage lately in my email.
Well,
And
we're in this small period, I think, between
right.
crops. I mean, they try to
Yeah.
guess in storage how long it's going to last and have the exact right amount before the new crop. So I would consider that something concerning. If you look at the commodity by commodity numbers in that organic report, it is somewhat concerning that by volume of the top 20 they listed, like maybe only two are up in Q2 year over year. And it's, bananas and grapes, even something that really sets the tone in the market. Salads are down over 5% volume wise. So that's the kind of thing, like you mentioned earlier, bellwether. If you're looking for evidence that inflation is bad and consumers are changing what they're doing, this is that evidence.
Right, right. And we'll stay tuned for in another like week or two. Anna Marie will have the IRI reports that she puts together for the International Fresh Produce Association. And I do not think that it's going to be sunny, happy news. And, going into the fall, back to school is starting. A lot of people, if you haven't already bought your school supplies, by the way, good luck. I bought the last pack of crayons at Walmart, I swear. So, but
Supply chain.
food wise, however, it's going to be a little interesting because another thing to think about that retailers need to think about is a lot of the USDA feeding programs that were going on during COVID that provided free lunches for everyone are expiring. And so parents are going to be shopping for back to school stuff in the food department. I'm going to be one of those parents who was super happy to send my kids to school without having to worry about making lunch or writing a check for lunch. And now I got to go back to either paying for it or making my own.
Well, also we have the White House conference on hunger and nutrition in September, and we talked about the 8 moonshot pillars that IFPA did. There are several tied to schools and feeding programs, and that will be, I mean, that's an opportunity for this administration to tie themselves to something positive.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I'm optimistic that produce can be a real star at this thing, and it's only 4 to 6 weeks away.
Yeah, we'll definitely be watching for what's coming out of that. But for now, that's it for the Produce Reporter Week in Review. If you are not getting the Produce Reporter newsletter, you need to go to producebluebook.com and sign up.